here. Where are you, Theresa? Come on up here, Theresa. Come on up here.
I could write a book. I'm so glad my husband died. Subtitled, How I Won the War on My Voice. Now, while you process that, I see you processing. I want you to know I'm all for the covenant of marriage. Bobby and Michelle. My new heroes, Kendra and Tyler. Not against men either. Good-looking guy, good-looking truck goes by. My head's going to turn. My heart's going to skip a beat over the truck. Now, the reason I say this is I was about 6 years into my radio career as an announcer at a major station outside of Atlanta when the war for my voice began. I got married. And for 26 years, I was married to a man who never dealt with the brokenness of his soul. And oftentimes that results in control, jealousy, stomping your voice out. We call it narcissism today. But I got to tell you something. Sometimes that painful misery becomes your destiny. Sometimes the anguish of the messes become a kingdom message. So let me give you a summary of the last 8 months of his life, just in case you think I took him out. It crossed my mind in 2009. So it's like this. We were moving, and we had a burn barrel outside. You burn debris, right? You understand that? And the one day I didn't go out there with him, he was trying to start it, and he was using gasoline. The container that he used backed on him, and I no sooner put a piece of china in a box than I looked out the window. He's fully inflamed. Third-degree burns with 30% of his body, and he didn't want to go to the hospital. So Nurse T enters, dressing his wounds 3 times a day. He used every foul word in the foul word book. You know that book? 4 months later, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And he didn't take his pain meds. Just let that sink in. And then 4 months later, he passed away. But let me tell you, that's why my mission is to help you win the war on your voice, even if you feel voiceless and stuck. My life is your survival guide. These explosions have turned into landmines of God's faithfulness. Now, I realize some of you, the war in your voice may not be relational. It may be doubt and feeling stuck, which puts you in a prison of your own making, and you don't know where the key is. But I want to help you, because you see, your voice is the unique expression of your identity, your values, and your experiences, which can impact thousands. So I have 3 keys that came from the reawakening of my voice from trauma. Are you ready? Yeah. Key number 1, good news is on your lips. So unlock your voice. I believe God lines in your very DNA a purpose, something that's just lying there and you know it. I oftentimes really believe you can see threads of that purpose by what did you like to do when you played? You were a kid. What did you like to do? I could tell you many things, but this is a Kim 10, so I only got 2. When I was about 7 or 8, we lived in this old house, and there were massive stairs to a 7-year-old. And I'd climb up those stairs, and I'd look out and imagine a crowd as big as Billy Graham. Are you ready? And I'd preach. I was Catholic. I didn't want to be a priest. I just wanted to speak. We later moved. In this house, there was only 2 little steps. I was disgusted. One day outside, Oh, yeah, no, 2 steps. What am I going to do on that? But I saw an apple cart. So I tipped that thing lengthwise, got on it, and I did preach to the birds, the bees, and the apple trees. Hey, guys, you really need Jesus. So do you see the threads? Let me show you the threads. Apple cart to Apple computer. iMac, MacBook Pro, iPad, iPhone, with filters, of course. iPhone, information, I need Jesus on the line. So for 20 years, I used an Apple product to express my voice, to speak. But this is something that the Lord revealed to me that is really for you. In the moments of my despair, in the cacophony of the marriage, I would journal. And the Holy Spirit, and he'd say, listen to the vine dresser. I couldn't conjure these things up. And I'd write it down. Beloved, I see the tears making your coffee salty. I mean, just writing as only I could hear. I couldn't conjure them up. I later did publish 3 devotionals while in the midst of a marriage. This is for you. If you create from the core of the identity that God gave you, and you let the Holy Spirit come in there, you stop the war in your voice by creating the way God creates. Kendra, creating the way God creates. You don't have to wait for your husband to die. You create the way God creates in your marriage, in your family, in your business, in your singing, Rebecca. And that puts a stop. So I just want to tell you, I didn't know that, but I was creating in the voice of the Father. It wasn't religion. And I look back now, and I was always fighting for my voice because I was creating the way God creates. Step number 2, you might want to write this one down. Freedom is your story, so learn to say no. When you say yes to someone when really it's a no, you lose a part of yourself. It sends a signal to your brain, you can't trust yourself. I was terrible at saying no. I couldn't even say no to go to the grocery store. But the last 5 years, I realized I could say no by creating a boundary, right? Go to a different room in my house. He sold the house. He wanted to build on land. So I ended up in this small little camper out in the middle of nowhere, which leads to key number 3. I like key number 3. Key number 3 is fight for your friends. Find those friends who celebrate you and not just tolerate you. Do you know studies indicate that the friends you hang around can change the structure of your brain? I really like this line to the song, and I'm going to sing it to you, but the acoustics are not like my shower, so this is it. I love this. Stay close to the people who feel like sunshine. Look at your neighbor and say, you feel like sunshine. Come on, look at your neighbor. You feel like sunshine. I could add a line to that song. The songwriter doesn't want it, but I could add a line. Stay close to the people who feel like Jesus with skin on. So in the context of relationships, I was studying oxytocin. Virginia, I did not say Oxycontin. Got it? Okay. Oxytocin. It's a hormone that serves as a neurotransmitter. In the context of relationships, it has everything to do with empathy, trust, and bonding. I was very low on that. Studies also indicate if oxytocin is low, you have a greater chance for blood pressure, heart disease, and a weakened immune system, not to mention loneliness, depression, and anxiety. Studies also indicate that long-term social isolation feels like a long-term infection that you can't get rid of. Oxytocin. So there were mornings when the last 5 years I'd get up and I just feel this weight on my body. I hadn't read that book, The Body Keeps the Score. Anyone know that book? It's like, again, I couldn't figure it out, so I had a choice. I could go back to bed, or I could fight for my voice. I chose to fight. 3 things: coffee, Jesus, and the vine dresser. Guess what? This is really cool. I believe the modern day oxytocin comes in the form of a Zoom camera. I got the best therapy going on 2 years, 2 hours a day, a Zoom camera. How did you guys get here? A Zoom camera. Now we're experiencing oxytocin to the overload. Okay, everyone, let's all look at the camera and wave. Let's give them a hug. Give them a hug. They're going to experience some oxytocin from you guys. You know, God has a way of making things that don't make any sense meaningful. At the beginning of the year, he said, Theresa, ChatGPT said this and he affirmed, Theresa, I've called you a voice revivalist. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I'll fit that in my business plan. 3 months later, do you remember the radio station I was telling you about? After 18 years, they hired me back. You're listening to Victory 91.5, the sound of revival. I think the vine dresser has some words for you. Listen to the vine dresser. Your voice is a much-needed salt to a world that's lost its appetite for a loving meal at the Father's table, my table. Your voice is light to a world that thinks darkness is normal and struggles with enmity and strife. Your voice is life. Now stand up. We're going to make some declarations. Come on. Repeat after me. Are you ready? Good news is on my lips. Freedom is my story.
Freedom is my story.
Rescue is my mission.
Rescue is my mission.
When you learn to win the war in your voice and create the way God creates, you get to speak to the person you once were.